Number one thing that jumped out to you about Packers Falcons today?
All the first downs that happened. It was like 40 something for 44 total first downs in this game, which is always gonna be entertaining. Only 2 sacks. One of them was for like a yard. So not a lot of negative plays. But I mean, let's start with Arthur Smith on fourth down. Let's just start first and foremost with that. Like Arthur Smith should be the nerd king because he runs play action a bunch. And then he also just goes for fourth down a bunch.
But
Isn't
the
that like the
nerds hate
nerd's
him.
favorite? And he uses 12 personnel a bunch. Isn't it like just the nerd's favorite things over and over, all of them in one spot? But he should be the nerd king. But went for it. Next Gen Stats tweeted this, but kind of figured it out. The Falcons went for it on fourth down 5 times throughout the game. The offense converted 3 times, failed once, and called for a false start on the other. The Next Gen Stats decision guy agreed with all 10 of Arthur Smith's fourth down decisions today. Nerd king, Arthur Smith, but also just really fun offenses, but also flawed teams. So you can just see the good and bad of these teams and how they're built offensively and defensively.
Thought the Falcons run game today was excellent. I think they rushed for 211 yards, the 48.7% success rate, which would have led the league last year. And some of those fourth down decisions, when you got 4th and inches, 4th and 1, the option to just pitch it back to Bijan Robinson is not the worst solution.
Nope.
That guy is unreal. And you have a well-designed run game with that sort of talent and a guy like Tyler Algier. And we just see how dynamic and dangerous it can be when you see it all in totality. You've got this guy who was one of the most efficient runners in the league last year, is kind of big bruising back. And then you have already one of the like 4 or 5 most electric guys in the league with the ball in his hands. I'm comfortable saying that. Every time he touches it, I feel like I have to take a breath because of how ridiculous it is. Anything could happen when any single time he touches the ball, and we're 2 games into his career. It's ridiculous.
I'm excited because they sub him so much with Algier, and I think which is smart, but they sub him in out. And every time he's out, I'm always kind of like, oh, like, and I really like Algier, like nice back. I was high on him coming out of the draft too, but it's just Bijan is something else. There's some of those runs that, again, it's taking a 0-yard run and turning it into 16. It's the 4-yard run and making it 6. It's like just every touch he gets, and they're splitting him out on third down and designing plays for him to beat up on linebackers, and it's making it look easy. And then he gets yards after the catch. Like he's just so fluid as an athlete. He's fantastic. And then just how they use everybody, you can see it kind of coming into itself. The Falcons offense, they had some limits, last week, or kind of had some rough patches last week, but just this week using the eye candy, just using Kyle Pitts as sometimes just an eye candy guy going on like split zone. And he doesn't even have to block anybody. He draws 2 defenders and opens up stuff in the run game, but also just using play action stuff off of runs that they've already shown. Like they had a really fun run last week. It was a counter play with the center and the fullback. Today they ran it a couple times, but then they ran a play action off of it today. And it was the Kyle Pitts one.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was the exact same spot on the field that they ran the play last week. And I was like, just a little tendency breaker already. So I just think this offense is going to take a little time to get going. Ritter just is terrifying. Like early first quarter, Ritter is the most terrifying quarterback to watch. He's just like this in college. He has to get hit once, and then all of a sudden he just calms down. But it's just until then, dude was just at first quarter, it was like, what are you doing? And then he calmed down as the game went along. But that first quarter was pretty terrifying with him.
I don't know what to make of him. I truly don't know what to make of him right now, because there were 3 or 4 decisions in this game again today that made me want to tear my hair out. Jair Alexander drops an interception. Quay Walker drops an interception. Just horrifying decisions a couple different times. But then what really impressed me in a couple moments today is some of the off-platform arm angle slot changing throws. He's more creative as a thrower than I expected him to be, which really jumped out today. And the ways they used him with his legs, especially in the red zone. That play where they're motioning Jonnu Smith back across, and it's a design quarterback keeper to that left side. They used it twice in the red zone, once to score a touchdown. So his ability to do some stuff with his legs and the creativity as a thrower, it almost offsets the near picks that were thrown today. So I don't know what to make of it, because
he converts some third and longs that and you're just like, what the hell was that? He hits like a dig route, and you're
dagger,
like,
the dagger to Drake London is just a strike that he throws on 3rd and 15. And so it's like, okay, like you're not just kind of along for the ride here. I hope that it settles down over the course of the season, because what I think both of us collectively thought about this offense coming into the year, in that everything else around it is going to be so dynamic and dangerous. He just needs to keep the train on the tracks.
That's
And
it.
this thing is going to be a runaway train. And that is what it felt like after today, where if you're making the right plays, man, you have so much talent on this team. We saw what Drake London could do today. He snapped off Jair Alexander on a huge completion late in the game. Like, this team has so much talent at their disposal, and they're deployed in interesting enough ways that as long as his decision making is like a B plus combined with like a B minus in the playmaking category, they can be a really dangerous offense. And I think you saw glimpses of that today.